What's up, you guys? This is SentryProductions, and welcome back to another episode of the Watchtower series. If you're new here, this is just a deep dive into my toy photography. I take you through my setups, how I pose my figures, how I light everything, and we're starting off this episode with Ghost Rider, and I'm just now realizing that I don't have my wheels lit up, so I got a couple lights back here that are kind of cleverly hidden behind the wheels, and I'm going to turn those on. These are little Ulanzi lights. They're very small. They're not as small as I would like them to be, but they're small enough to where they hide behind things fairly well. So as you can see, that kind of is glowing up my wheels right here. This is based off of I don't know if it's concept art or fan art, or it actually might be, it's more than likely a legit comic artist, because it's a fantastic little shot, but it's very reminiscent of like that iconic Akira shot, you know, where Akira is like, or whatever the character's name is walking to their bike. So I think it's kind of based off of that, but of course this is with Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, you know, there's a lot of characters in the Marvel Universe, and I like to think that I know a shitload about most of the characters, but Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, Johnny Blaze, Robbie Reyes, these are just characters I don't really know shit about. I've never really stepped into the whole Ghost Rider lore, world, any of that stuff. It's never been my like piece of the comics, but that doesn't mean I don't think that Ghost Rider is a cool character. I think he's badass. I love those Nicolas Cage movies when I was younger. I just don't really know that much about him, so it's kind of fun that I'm pulling out this Danny Ketch Ghost Rider that came out in the 85th anniversary line last year, I believe, and I'm starting to kind of slowly get around to shooting it. It's a really well put together figure. I think a lot of people's complaints with this figure initially were that it was too small, which it is kind of a smaller figure, but when you actually put it on the bike, I don't really think you can tell the difference. He fits on the bike very nicely. The bike is engineered very well. It's a very cool, sleek looking bike. And when I think of Ghost Rider, I don't think of Danny Ketch, the character. I think of Johnny Blaze. But when I think of Ghost Rider's bike, this is the bike I think of. This is the one I think of. It's like more of a modern Ghost Rider bike. I think Danny Ketch was like a 90s Ghost Rider, I believe. So I've always thought this bike looked the coolest. But I've always personally thought Johnny Blaze was like, he just sounds like a more badass character, but I'm sure Danny Ketch is just as cool. So I'm starting to kind of jump in. I might read the first few issues of the Danny Ketch run, Ghost Rider, and then I was kind of looking up some like info about his character and everything. I guess he's more of like a more grounded Ghost Rider. He's not as like chaotic as Johnny Blaze or Robbie Reyes. He's kind of more like doing his duty type of Ghost Rider. At least that's what I've looked into, and that's what I saw. But yeah, man, this this shot is kind of like a bird's eye view. Not really a bird's eye view. It's somewhat of a bird's eye view. So if you can see, I got a lot of the lights shown up here. Now, I was going to, copy that shot that I showed you a second ago. I was going to try to copy that the best I could, but with the main thing about that shot is there's a huge shadow here, and I'm not gonna lie, dark shots or like nighttime shots, I'm not super good at them just yet. I'm still trying to like work out the kinks. Everyone kind of has their own style, and mine is more like kind of pop art, like very bright colors. So nighttime shots, even though I do attempt nighttime shots a lot, it's not my forte. It's not what I'm super good at. So it's always good to get on the table with something like maybe you're not super comfortable with, and giving it a try. But even when I do nighttime shots, I still want them to be lit well. I think something that I heard Al Chang say one time, a long time ago, is if you want to have a good dark nighttime shot, you gotta light the shot up like a baseball field. You have to put a lot of lights in there, and then you can just adjust your settings accordingly, which is kind of the idea behind all the lights right here. So I got the two main lights right here that are focusing on the foreground, the stuff on the ground, the debris, the Ghost Rider. I also have another rim light right here, which is on the Ghost Rider, but for his hair, I want to make sure, the main thing for the Ghost Rider is you got to make sure the hair's lit up and the wheels are lit up. That's like the main thing. We want to kind of sell that effect of like there's a fire raging and you know this stuff is really bright. Now you can do your best to get this stuff as bright as you can, but when you start adding other lights, you're gonna start having light pollution. So if you have a light focused on his hair and then you have two lights right here, now your light might be canceling out that light. So it's a kind of a balancing act. I have to the right. Here, I'll try to pull it out so you guys can see it. This is my Ulanzi garage kit, and it has like a little directional like attachment on it, and I can kind of aim it at his hair the best I can. And it does give it a good amount of light. More light than if I was to focus a full light on it. With that directional attachment, it really allows me to focus that light, and it helps with that light pollution from the other lights. Then I have a light in the back, which is this one right here. Sorry, I know it's kind of get way of pointing to the light. This one right here, and that one's kind of, it's kind of lighting everything from the back because I don't have any lights in this area right here. So if I don't have this light shining from this direction, the bike kind of gets lost in all of the darkness back there. So and then you can only just really see the wheels. So I want to make sure that even though this is a nighttime shot, I'm still providing light so that the black bike you can kind of see the details and its silhouette and everything. And then of course I had a light right here that was shining behind the wheel, but it wasn't giving off just enough light. And then I also had it over here and it was showing in the shot, so I added this light right here just to kind of give it a little bit more light, have the orange kind of a little bit more prominent right there. The bike itself is being held up by sticky tack. Like, it does come with a kickstand, I believe, like where he's on a wheelie or some shit. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I have sticky tack back there. So yeah, this is my Danny Ketch Ghost Rider nighttime shot. Kind of starting off this episode. This figure's been out for I think over a year now, and I just saw it in my case and I was like, I have never shot this. I have this shot for inspiration that I want to give it a go, so let's give it a go. I'm going to play around with it in Lightroom a little bit, see if I can kind of change some of the colors around a little bit. The orange is a little bit it's too bright for me, so I'm going to see if I can kind of desaturate it a little bit. Play around with some shadows and make it feel more of like a nighttime shot, while at the same time still maintaining all of those details on the ground, the bike, the figure, the chain, all that stuff. So let's check it out. Alright, so got a little Blackheart shot here. You know, we were just playing around with the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider figure, and you know, got me thinking obviously of Ghost Rider villains, and you know, I pulled out this Build-A-Figure Blackheart, which I think is just a fantastic figure. It's like a brand new mold. It's just an excellent looking figure. I love the texture on it. It's not really much in the way of paint, but what it lacks there, it makes up in sculpt, articulation. I think there is still some things left to be desired with the tail, like it's not quite as bendy as I would like it, and the back portion is kind of stuck in its position, so you can't really manipulate it very well from the buttocks region. But other than that, it's a pretty goddamn solid Build-A-Figure figure, and I had a lot of fun with it last year. Just posing it around. One thing that is kind of funny about this figure is it has all these little spiky things around its shoulders and its legs, so when you're like posing it around, it actually kind of hurts your hands a little bit, which I find very appropriate for this character. So this setup the idea behind this setup was him emerging from the ground from hell. That's what I wanted it to kind of feel like. This was one of those really cool figures that when it was announced, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see what people do with this for toy photography. And to be honest, I can't remember a single shot anybody on my Instagram feed, on Facebook, just across the ether of the net, of someone taking a picture of this thing. It's just so strange. And then when you look up like reference images for Blackheart, it's like few and far between. Like, you actually have to pull up the source material, like the actual comics, to find like reference images, because there's just not really that many out there. I'm talking like Google Images. Sometimes I'll go on Pinterest. It's just, I don't know, it's a very dry landscape for Blackheart reference pictures from him in comics, stuff like that. So you know, it's something I really look into when I'm trying to when I'm like kind of studying a character or thinking of taking a shot of a character. I really try to I wouldn't say do my homework, because I love doing this shit, but I was just trying to look into more stuff about Blackheart, and that I had to pull comics to really find, you know, some source material to see what kind of poses I could pull him in. So Blackheart, son of Mephisto, which is like Marvel's Satan, but not really. He's a being of just pure evilness. That's how he was conceived and came about. But he's not quite as insane as Mephisto is. He's just kind of just I think of him as Mephisto's main goon. You know, he's the main guy that just goes around causing trouble. So wanted him coming up from hell. So I had to kind of build up this set. You guys can kind of see, but I've got a lot of stuff going on underneath this setup. Lots of lights. Now, when I have something lighting from below, I've done this quite a few times with different shots. Not necessarily one with a hole, but sometimes I'll use little grates or something, and I have light shining through to kind of give it some dynamic lighting. But I like to actually put in hardwired lights. That way I can really take my time with the setup, because if I just have a bunch of these lights, like these Ulanzis that are portable, they're gonna run out of juice really quick. So I like to have the hardwired lights in there, and these are the EMAR lights that I've been using for 5 years now. They're still running strong. They come with little filters that you can put on there. So these are the red filters, and then I have a couple little fire pieces, as you guys can see, kind of put on some acrylic stands underneath there. And then I guess the idea is he's emerging from a road or the sidewalk. That's why I kind of threw the 1/12 scale car back there, in case anyone's wondering what car this is. I think it's made by, damn, who the hell makes this thing? American Plastic Toys. This is a Richard Petty car from the 80s or 90s that I repainted to just look like some shitty rundown Buick, and I think it works really well back there. It's just something to kind of fill up the space from this section to the sky backdrop. For the sky backdrop, I've got storm clouds back there. This is just an image I pulled off of Google, and I think I bought it on, I printed it out on, I don't know, some third-party website that prints out big prints. And I don't really use it that often. I've had it for years now, but it comes in pretty handy, and I think it kind of fits this vibe with Blackheart kind of emerging. I like to think this is New York. Blackheart's coming out from the ground. He's about to go around and cause some mayhem, cause some trouble. So yeah, this is my little Blackheart shot. I think it's pretty cool. Let me pull this a little bit further back so you guys can see more of what I'm working with as far as light. So what the bottom lights are doing is they're doing actually a lot of the work. They're lighting, they're giving a nice underglow. They're giving him this really cool dynamic lighting from below, because that's the kind of feeling I want. I really want to feel like, oh, he's coming from hell, you know? It's Blackheart. And then I have one light right here that's right above, just a little rim light, just to give a little bit of light up there. I've got two lights that are focused on the background back here. There's one right here and one right here. And it's kind of hitting this car and hitting this background. But the main light that's kind of lighting this whole front section right here is just this little book reading lamp light. This isn't really made for photography. It's just like a lamp desk light, but they work really well. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This light right up here. They work really well for rim lighting, like overhead lighting. Obviously, you'll see a lot of factories use these long strips, fluorescent light type of thing, because they light really well. And the same kind of idea works with toy photography right here. And then I've got just these two little dial pieces. This is just, I don't really use these that often, but they work really well for this scene. Like railings on the sidewalk, or railings for a guardrail for cars or something like that. So The hardest part about the shot, honestly, was just trying to figure all this out, like how to raise everything up, how to make everything sit flush, keep it on the same level. This is 2 different dial pieces. There's one right here and there's one right here that's holding on the car. Got to make sure that the ground is level and flush. I don't want anything raised or anything like that, because I really want it to kind of feel seamless all the way to the back. And then once that was figured out, all the logistics, I was able to just kind of pose my Blackheart like I wanted to. I was able to add these 2 fire effects. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see what I'm talking about. I was able to add these 2 little fire effects right here. There's a lot of polyester just kind of thrown in there to kind of fill up the space so that you don't see any of those lights from below. Shooting at a kind of a lower angle, kind of just like dead on with Blackheart. I don't want to shoot too high up looking down, because then you run the chance of like seeing some of the acrylic stands or like the bottom of the diorama. We want to kind of keep everyone's attention focused on the Blackheart, and everything else just kind of needs to feel a little seamless so that, you know, there's not anything out of place. We're trying to make it look as real as possible. So that is my Blackheart shot. Let's check it out, man. I really like how this one turned out. It's really cool. Okay, so this setup is just hella random, and I guess there's like a very quick little backstory I want to go into about this. Is when I first started toy photography, my style was it was much different than what it is now. You know, now that I'm like 5 years in, my style back then was more like dark comedy, kind of like trying to be funny while at the same time, like, you know, still posing and getting a good picture. So this is kind of reminding me of that time, like this is like 2020, 2021 when I was shooting, just trying to like be funny. So hopefully you guys think this is funny, or you might just think this shit's hella weird. I don't know, but basically I've got this like fake baby, got this 2-pack Punisher, which this is like, it's my favorite Punisher figure of all time at this point. I can't wait for them to just redeco this into a classic Punisher with maybe a new head, and then that'll be my absolute favorite Punisher. I already know it, like I'm calling it now before it even comes out. But this body is just absolutely fantastic. Is this the body the new Captain America is going to be on? I'm not sure, but whatever figure is on this body, I mean, this body is just, it's the best. But yeah, he's holding a baby. Got some of the tracksuit mafia thug guys on the ground, in the background, in the foreground. Got a speech bubble that says, "You're gonna wake the baby." He's holding the baby, shooting more bad guys, or in like some dilapidated like warehouse or house or something. And yeah, and he's shooting a silenced Uzi because, you know, he's very considerate of the baby. He doesn't want to wake up the baby. That's why he's using a silencer, which, you know, we all know is, you know, silencers don't really silence the gun all that much. I mean, they do silence it a lot, but not enough to not wake up a baby. But I guess that's part of that's what makes this funny, at least to me. So I'm gonna remove the stand in post. It's a custom cutout from me. I basically I make all of the cutout and everything in GIMP, which is like poor man's Photoshop for Mac users, I guess. And I add the text and everything, and I use certain texts. And then I just got it blue tacked to a light stand right here, and yeah, just gonna remove it and using a little G.I. Joe gun. I think that comes from Big Ben. Tracksuit Mafia guys are always fun to kind of play around with. And then got this little warehouse diorama I bought on eBay a number of years ago. And you know what's funny about this diorama is I think I've used it for like 2 or 3 other Punisher shots. I don't know. I guess it just kind of reminds me of a Punisher type of like drug house vibe or some shit. I don't know, but yeah, this is a funny little shot. Hopefully you guys think it's funny, or you just think I'm some weirdo. But this light is to light the shooting effect from, which is a G.I. Joe shooting effect. It came with like the Cobra 3-pack or some shit, and got a couple lights right here, just focusing on Frank. This baby came in like a little, what are those things kids get, like blind bags or whatever? They're like the little ball that you can get at Target, and they come with just random accessories. Sometimes I would be looking at those because sometimes they do come with like some cool 1/12 scale accessories, but usually they're out of scale. They're either too big or too small, but this baby, I think it's a little too big, but it works pretty well. And I was just posing this figure one night, and I don't even know how I thought of this. Maybe I was looking for an accessory or some shit. You know what it was? I was looking for a duffel bag for him to carry, and I have all my accessories kind of like organized a little bit. I mean, they're kind of like sporadic, but the drawer that I had the duffel bag in also had the baby in it, and I was like, what if he's holding a baby and he's shooting a gun? It's just so stupid, you know? It's so dumb. And then you got this screaming head, which is just makes it like just even funnier to me. So yeah, that's my stupid little Punisher holding a baby shooting a gun shot. So let's check it out. I'm gonna title it, I think, "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead." Is that funny? I don't know, you tell me below. All right, so I just finished editing the Punisher shot. I think it came out really cool, but I mentioned while I was kind of showing you guys the behind the scenes that I got a bunch of my accessories kind of organized. I say organized very loosely, but this is what I'm talking about. Figured I'd just show you guys like a little tiny behind the scenes. This is underneath my desk, right next to all my detolfs and everything. And I'm not gonna go through all of them. I just want to kind of give you guys a general idea, but let's go through that one I was talking about with the baby in it. So this is the one. So when I was looking for oh, god damn it, I forgot what I was looking for initially, but this is like just an example of like what like the random shit that's just in one of my little cases. Sorry, the lighting's not super good, but got a baby, you got the little dog that came with the Loose Collector Rocketeer figure. I try to, if I feel like something's gonna get damaged, I'll try my best to put it in one of these like little drug baggy things. They're like the little small plastic baggies. You can see this one's just got like tiny Transformers, and then it's also got like all my mini Ant-Man and Wasp characters and stuff. And then you can see there's like some mini DeLoreans and shit. This all, for the most part, is action figure accessories or like little tiny knickknacks that came with figures. Like you can see, here's a bag just full of little Groots and a custom Groot I got from Aneum Reg a million years ago. There's a small Atom in here, and Lockheed, and all kinds of random shit. But there's a lot of these in here, man. I mean, I have, god damn it, my Marvel Legends hands have evolved. They initially just were in one of these little, I think these are the Sterilite just organization drawers. This works really well for me. I know people like to keep some figures with all their accessories like with the figure, but I don't really normally do that. I do with some of my figures, but not all of them. This is generally how I store everything. So I've got multicolored hands here. You know, you can see Beast's hands, just random hands in here, and then I've got white and black hands organized, so it's just easier to find a white hand or a black hand. Then I have skin tones up here, and Wolverine claws are kind of just thrown in the mix. And then right here, this one's getting a little bit too full, but this is Spider-Man and Iron Man and any robot or silver/metallic characters' hands. So you can see there's like Colossus hands, there's Venom hands, shit like that. So a lot of Iron Man hands. It's just easier to find. For some reason, Spider-Man and Iron Man are, well, not for some reason, obviously, but they have the most hands, but they always come with so many fucking hands, it's easy. And I got guns. This is submachine guns, pistols, shotguns. This is assault rifles, so AK-47s, kind of long-barreled clip type of weapons, or magazine weapons. And then we got heavy machine guns over here, and there's just like, and then just space guns. This is just full of space guns. And then this is a duplicate heads. We got female heads, G.I. Joe, McFarlane, miscellaneous heads, my main Marvel Legends heads that if I'm trying to pose a figure or it has an extra head, this is like generally the drawer I'll go in. And then these ones up here are all like pistol holsters and bags and random shit. And then there's just like a random full of just Captain America shields. And then this is like my main toy photography ones, all my sticky tack, all my little 1/12 scale props. And then this is like not third party, but like G.I. Joe hands, Street Fighter hands, anything that's not Marvel Legends. And then it just kind of continues on like that. Like down here I have all the blast effects, and I like how I said I wasn't gonna go through all this shit, but here I am going through all this shit. Iron Man accessories. Look at this. This is just fucking Iron Man blaster accessories. Look, he gets a whole damn bin. It's insane. Oh, animals. Just animals. Lots of, and you know, I can only really fit stuff that can get in here, but not all of it fits very snugly. So you can see this eagle that came with Superman, I think. Came with a Superman figure. Oh shit, stuff's flying out. Aim weapons, random weapons, G.I. Joe weapons. You see those Green Lantern accessories up there. I find this shit like interesting. I would like to think you guys do too. More hands. This is just swords. This is just one just filled with swords. And then I got one just filled with axes and old-timey weapons. This shit's cool. I love going through these. And then Marvel Legends accessories, so webs, random shit. And then bigger arm accessories. Just bow and arrows. Or crossbows, or whatever. Spears. Random shields. Up here, this bigger one. If you guys see anything dirty in the back or dusty, ignore it. Flight stands. All kind of flight stands. Metal flight stands, plastic flight stands, Mezco flight stands, Mafex, everything that you can imagine. Look at all that shit back there. And then this is just more flight stands or actual like little stands. You got some custom heads in there. Backpacks, Hulk accessories, soft goods are back there. What else we got in here? Oh, see, some of these are actually like, this is just a fair warning. This is not always the best way to store your shit, because these are like actual Tamashii Nation effects in here. And as you can tell, this is a hard bin to pull out. So it's very, when I pull that one out, I kind of try to take a little bit extra care. But more random accessories. These are gravestones. All my blood accessories are in here. I don't know how well you can see. Random accessories. And then there's just more random shit. Dog hair. So yeah, man, that's got a hair dryer. That's very essential for an action figure collector. You need a hair dryer. I know a lot of people, you do the hot water trick. I am not one of those people. I strictly do hair dryer, and it is never not worked for me. When I mean I use the hair dryer, I mean like when I'm trying to remove limbs from figures, or I'm trying to bend the plastic back to its regular form. I never use the hot water trick. I always do the hair dryer. That's just how I do it. So this is how I store most of my accessories. So let me know if this is something similar to what you do, or if it's something you would like to do, or if you think this is the dumbest shit you ever seen. You're like, why the hell would anyone store the thing? I would like to hear from you as well. But yeah. So keeping with the theming, minus the Punisher shot, which was just a random shot that popped into my head, I decided to shoot the Dracula figure here that came in the Blackheart wave. You know, we started off with Ghost Rider, and then we took the Blackheart shot. So it just only made sense to me to kind of end this with the Dracula figure. Now this is a very big setup. I was reading, I wasn't really reading, I was more like skimming the Dracula Blood Hunt run, and where he's wearing this suit. This is one of those designs that I had never seen up until they showed pictures of this figure. I was like, oh shit, I had no idea Dracula ever wore a suit like this, but it's pretty badass. And I think out of that wave, I think this was a lot of people's favorite figure. I thought the design is just badass. So I was, you know, kind of browsing that comic and just trying to get an idea of like how I would shoot this figure. I literally just pulled it off my shelf, and I had only played with it for, I don't know, maybe like 10-15 minutes when I initially got it. So I got to kind of rediscover it, replay with it, and trying to figure out an idea, and came across a few panels where he's just kind of walking from his castle. So that's kind of the idea I ran with. It's a very simple shot. It's a very simple shot, but it takes up a lot of space. Between the Dracula figure and the background, there's probably about a foot. And then from Dracula to the camera, there's probably about 2 feet. So I flipped my table around long ways, hot dog style. For you guys, if you guys remember people saying that shit when you're in elementary school. I work with kids, so I say shit like that all the time. So hot dog style, got my table right here, and just got a lot of lights, a lot of ground, all kinds of stuff. I'll switch up the angle here in a second so you guys get a better idea of what I'm looking at from my perspective. But just a simple walking pose. I got his sword sticky tacked on the back of his cape here. It's not the best figure in the world, but it is posable enough to where you can get it in a kind of simple walking shot. And this, you know, walking poses like this, these are not easy poses to get figures in. Because they tend, when you have the foot angled up like this, especially pointy boot guys like this, they tend to just fall over. So I kind of had to play around with the pose a lot to really make sure it was stable, make sure the feet were spaced enough to where it could handle the weight and distribution of the whole figure. And I also didn't want to overdo the walking pose, because sometimes you'll see guys where they move the legs way too far apart and it looks like some like maniac is like walking, you know. I don't really want that feeling. I want Dracula walking away from his castle, very stoic type of pose. So I went with like a minimal walking pose as opposed to a like brutish, like wide stance, which is what I see a lot of photographers do when it comes to walking poses. They're just not easy. They're a little bit tougher. But yeah, this is completely tangible. No stands. I know people have been in my comments on a couple other videos be like, man, I don't like the fact that you're not tangible anymore. I would say most of my shots are like minus stands and color corrections that are probably like 85% tangible displays. My roots are tangible. Trust me, I could take a tangible shot just as good as anybody you know. It's just a lot funner when you get to edit shit out. I'm sorry, it's the truth. I get figures in flying poses. I don't got to use glass to get figures suspended in the air. It just makes shit a lot easier, and I have a lot more fun when I can just play around with the stand. It just allows me to do a lot more. But very simple shot. Got a Dutch angle, as you can see, so the camera's angled to the right, downward. It's something I love playing around with the Dutch angle as opposed to like just this. I mean, yeah, this looks alright too. That's fine. But God, I just like how dynamic it looks when you do shit like this. It just looks cooler to me. And you'll see a lot of actual comic book artists. They take a very simple shot and they just kind of flip it like a Dutch angle to the right, angle it to the left, and it makes it a lot more dynamic and it's a lot funner. Alright, so here is the full setup. I'm probably about 7 feet away from the Dracula figure. That's how far back my camera is, to kind of give you the full scope of this setup. Like I said, very simple shot, but look at how much shit is going on this table. Sometimes the simplest shots end up having the most setup of any other shot you do. And you know, what I like doing every now and again is flipping this table around and really just creating a big scene. You know, you see a lot of movie directors do shit like that, where they'll work with like a very large scale scene. Like when I think of directors that have done shit like that, I think of like Steven Spielberg with the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan. You remember? Imagine how big that set was for the D-Day landings. I mean, this shit was just incredibly vast. So I like doing that with shots like this every now and again. I mean, look at how many just terrain pieces. That's a 6-inch figure over there. and look at how much space is in there. It's cool because it really creates this like insane amount of depth in your shot. But you know, the bigger your scene, the more lights you're gonna need to kind of go over everything. So before I step in front of the camera and show you guys the lights real quick, just want to show you up above really quickly. If you look at the background where the sky is at, you see that right here. You can see I have my poster board actually up. There's like I have one of those tri-fold poster boards, and that's what I'm attaching the my construction paper sky background to. So even though I kind of have to get a little resourceful with how I have my shot set up, because remember, I'm looking at my shot from the left-hand side, kind of veering to the right. So I can't have my random posters back there. It wouldn't make any sense. So I have to figure out how to get my sky background pinned up in a way to where it kind of seems like it's never ending. So I use those tri-fold poster boards. They're very sturdy, and you can use tacks to kind of tack construction paper to them. So in case you're wondering like, oh, how do you do backgrounds and shit like that, get a tri-fold poster board and, you know, set it up on a table, and it kind of helps with not putting holes in your wall when you're putting up construction paper. And for the construction paper, the sky backgrounds, the starry sky right there, as you can see, I got those at Michael's. If you're in the States. If you're not, I'm sure you have a craft store that has cool little backdrops like that. And if you don't, buy them online. Go on Hobby Lobby, go on Michael's. They sell all this shit online. So I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. But let's check out this lights. Okay, I'm gonna get in the camera. Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so a lot going on here. I've got these little columns. They're gargoyle columns. I don't know what the hell. These are 3D printed. So I have my camera is like right here at the end of the table, kind of veering that way. So I have this shit in the foreground. This shit, I don't know why I said shit, but I have this shit in the foreground. I have my main focus, and then I have all this shit in the background. So I like to do layers, you know. I like to make sure I do layers. Simon Hill, one of my favorite toy photographers, and in my opinion, him and Figure Mania Show, I think, are the two greatest toy photographers alive. I have stolen so many of their setups, so many of their ideas, so many of their lighting techniques. It's unbelievable. And that's one thing that he always talked about. He always talked about layering. And the minute I heard him say that, I kind of approached toy photography much differently. So layering, foreground, middle ground, background. When you have them all in succession, it kind of just makes your shot pop a little bit better. You don't always need shit in your foreground. You don't always need shit in your background. Well, you kind of always need shit in your background. But it helps sell the depth of your shot. So these two lights lighting up these two columns, that's literally all they're doing. They're just to light up these columns. Remember, if I take these away, look at how dark this front part is. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, you can still have it be dark up front, but I don't know. My style is, I like to light all my shit. I like even lighting. So if this is very lit, this is very lit, my mind automatically just wants this shit to be very lit. Once again, that's just my preference. It's not something you have to do. Then I have another light hidden back here. This is an LED light strip, portable. It's got, you charge it. It lasts for about 4 hours on each charge. Each of my setups typically take about 10-15 minutes to set up, and then I shoot for about 30 minutes. So I would say most of my setups, from actually setting them up to having a finished shot and breaking them down, is usually about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I've been working on this for about an hour and a half, I would say. So, you know, you can get 3-4 setups out of just one charge. Got these, talked about those. Got one of my Ulanzis right here. I got two, here, let me talk about these first. So I have two Ulanzis hidden back here because there's a lot of shit going on with this castle door back here, and I just want some kind of dynamic lighting back there. So I've got the orange light pointing at the castle. You know, castle's got, you know, flames going and torches, you know, just makes sense. So I got those shining back there. So then I have another light that's being hidden behind this column, like back here, giving him a little bit of back glow, as if the lights that are, the flames that are back here are hitting him. And it looks pretty cool. I like that. And then I have one more giant light, or I have this light right here, which is shining on my Dracula figure, really kind of giving him some rim lighting and just highlighting him, while at the same time giving him a bit of shadows. He's not completely lit from the front. Because remember, this is a nighttime shot. And then I have one more light right here, which is giving a lot of light on my backdrop. Just as if you were using a construction paper for your backdrop, or you're using a diorama, you still want to light it. So that is what that is doing. And it's not only lighting my backdrop, it's lighting all this shit, but I have the light up pretty high. So if it was lower, it would kind of be overexposing my shot, but since I have it up much higher, it's kind of giving some even lighting. So that's my Dracula shot. You guys like that? But yeah, that's my Dracula shot. I think it looks kind of sick. Very simple shot. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have any feedback for me, as usual, please put that below. If you guys have some suggestions for figures you might want me to shoot, I just love seeing your guys' comments, and I'm always down for a challenge. So if you got something or an idea you think I should tackle, shit, put it in the comments. I'll give it a go. I'll see if I can do it, see if I'm up to it. In the meantime, make sure to check out my Instagram for all the completed shots, for all some more behind the scenes stuff. And I appreciate you guys, as always, for you loyal subscribers that stick around to the very end. There's not many of you, so if you're here all the way to the end, I truly appreciate you. And I hope you guys learn some shit. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys. So this is SentryProductions. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.